sports.
We are Baltimore. We are Florida.
It's been 7 years since the Marlins were in Toronto. The Rogers Center has some familiar faces. Yep, that's Mark Burley. Hello, Jose Reyes. And the Jays can flat out swing it. From Joey Bats to Edwin Encarnacion, Russell Martin, and Josh Donaldson. It's a hot Blue Jays club, and it's a 3-gamer with Miami and Toronto. In Toronto, yeah, the Marlins are north of the border. It's Blue Jays and Marlins opening a 3-game set.
Go Marlins, baby. Stand for
Let's go Jays, let's go Jays, let's go Jays, let's go Jays. Hey, even north of the border, got some Marlin fans here. Into the Rogers Center, used to be Sky Dome. It's a place the Marlins have not played since 2009. And Jose Reyes getting loose and ready to go. Hi, everybody. Rich Waltz along with Tommy Hutton. Two hot teams. Blue Jays have won 5 straight. Miami has some momentum as well. They've won 4 of their last 5 series, including a series win in Denver. And it should be a really entertaining series.
You know, it's interesting. We saw those Marlins fans outside coming in. There are a lot of the players that have never been to Rogers Center. But one thing Dan Jennings keeps preaching, win a series. Just go out and win the series.
There are some players, however, that are quite familiar with the opponent because they used to be that opponent. 2012, the big trade between the Blue Jays and the Marlins. It's something we discuss almost on a daily basis.
Well, the Blue Jays organization got rid of some young talent in that deal. We're going to show you some of the principles, but Justin Nicolino's in AAA. He was part of that deal. Jake Marisnick was, but brought Jared Cozart here. Escobar was a Marlin briefly. Derek Dietrich came over. DeSclafani was part of that deal, and for Disco, the Marlins were able to acquire Matt Latos. It's a deal that the Marlins, I think, and most people think, came out on top.
With the big right-handed bats that the Blue Jays have, from Donaldson to Martin to Bautista to Encarnacion, they are the best in Major League Baseball against lefties. Brad Hand pitches tonight, but he pitched very well his last time out against another lineup loaded with right-handed bats, the Cubs.
This is really, you got the DH2, a tough matchup for Brad Hand because he has a lineup that hits lefties so well. But coming off that outing against the Cubs, 6 innings, 6 hits, just a couple of runs and 2 walks. He had good command of most of his stuff. You mentioned a lot of those guys. There's one other guy, Rich, Danny Valencia, a South Florida kid, a .333 career hitter against left-handed pitching. Tough assignment tonight for Brad Hand.
He's the pride of Boca Raton, is Danny Valencia. Now, opposing Brad Hand, a right-hander whom the Marlins saw with the Brewers, Marco Estrada.
Yeah, Marco Estrada started the year pitching out of the bullpen, but over the last 6 or 7 outings, he's been a starter. He's had a tough time here at Rogers Center. ERA not too bad. He mixes it up. He's not an overpowering guy. The Marlins saw him a little bit when he was with the Milwaukee Brewers.
Marlins are hoping that the baseball looks like that softball that he's warming up with in this one. It's Miami, it's Toronto. A 3-gamer opens north of the border next. By Toyota, let's go places. By Florida Coast Equipment, Florida's largest Kubota dealer. Visit us at FloridaCoastEQ.com. And by Auto Nation, save on over 70,000 vehicles now. Visit AutoNation.com. Now that looks like fun. And there's a lot to do in this great North American city of Toronto. Marlins and Blue Jays, the Rogers Center, the roof is closed. There's been some rain in the area. JM Lexus brings you Miami's lineup. D. Gordon still leading all of baseball in hitting. Martin Prado, a nice hit streak of 9 games. Giancarlo Stanton is the DH in this ball game. Justin Bourne first. Marcelo Zuna center. Christian Yelich out and left. JT Realmuto, his first look here in Toronto. And Adeiny Echeverria, the former Blue Jay, a 7-game streak and a game-winning homer yesterday in Colorado. Ichiro is in the 9 spot, and they'll be facing 31-year-old Marco Estrada.
Actually a 6th-round draft pick in 2005 by the Nationals out of Long Beach State. So Marco Estrada, one time with the Milwaukee Brewers. Some of the Marlins have seen him. And you see his numbers on the year. Not a bad ERA. A pretty good changeup, too. You got to be careful of that.
So the Marlins at 24-33. A dramatic win yesterday. The home run by Adeiny Echeverria came with 2 outs in the top of the 10th inning. And of course the Blue Jays have won 5 in a row. Their win with lots of drama as well. A walk-off 2-run single by Chris Colabello. Pitch Penny brings you the first pitch to D. Gordon. And it's a strike. Gordon has hit in 5 straight. He had 3 hits yesterday. There's the changeup that Tommy talked about.
Yeah, the thing that was impressive about D. Gordon yesterday, I want to say yesterday, he's been impressive all year. Hits to all fields, 3 hits. 1 to left, 1 to center, 1 to right.
Changeup. Gordon drops the barrel on it and hooks it foul.
Before we get too far along, we'll give you the scouting report on Marco Estrada. A little hesitation you notice in his delivery. A solid changeup. And he'll throw 2 seamers. He's not going to throw 95, 96 miles an hour, but very deceptive.
Gordon sends that one to center. Kevin Pillar is back, and he makes the catch. Here are the Blue Jays defensively.
Yeah, we're going to give you first names. It's a team we don't see all that often. Ezekiel Carrera in left, Kevin Pillar, Jose Bautista, the right fielder, Danny Valencia, Jose Reyes, Munenori Kawasaki at second base, Chris Colabello at first, and Russell Martin. You've seen him before. He's having a great year throwing runners out.
Jose Reyes out at short. Reyes now healthy after a rib injury and hot. As Martin Prado takes a strike. Prado had 3 hits in Colorado, a hit in each game, which has extended his hit streak to 9 straight. You see Martin, a very active catcher. And Estrada throws a fastball by Prado. It's 0-2.
Yeah, you talk about athletic and active catchers. Russell Martin has been that his entire career.
Prado leaning out, lifts it foul. And it's 0-2. There's Martin, who was such a nice addition to that Pittsburgh team, who got to the postseason both years that he was there. He was born in this Toronto area and ended up being raised in Montreal, spending 3 years also in Paris.
Well, a nice 5-year contract will keep him here for a while. 48% this year in throwing runners out.
Oh, 2. And that's out. Chris Conroy calling balls and strikes. Angel Hernandez at first. Scott Berry at second. Ted Barrett is the umpire at third. 1-2 coming to Martin Prado. Got him. Estrada elevated a fastball. And there are 2 outs here in the first inning.
That's how that fastball looks livelier up in that area, especially after all the changeups. It's be a fun series for JT Realmuto to just keep an eye on Russell Martin. Watch him behind the plate.
Giancarlo Stanton now is DHing in this ball game. And Estrada stays with the fastball and misses. It's 1-0. Stan, an interesting road trip. The longest home run in baseball this year in the first game in Colorado. But then after that, it was a real struggle for him. 4 strikeouts on Saturday and an 0 for 4 yesterday. He's got a 2-0 pitch to look at here. Stanton lifts it foul and out of play. This is a great place to hit, especially if you are a fly ball hitter. The ball carries well, roof open or roof closed, and the dimensions are not that great.
There were a couple of Blue Jays players that told us they were going to sit in the dugout and watch Stanton take BP too.
Giancarlo goes after one of those high fastballs, and the count is 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Stanton, Rich, hasn't done a lot of DHing. In his previous opportunities, just 3 for 15.
There's a breaking ball. Stanton swings and misses, and the Blue Jays get him. Stanton strikes out. Marlins done in order. Brad Hand takes the hill to face the Blue Jays next. Walk-off win, and with 5 straight wins, Blue Jays are 2 under at 28-30. JM Lexus brings you their starting lineup. Jose Reyes, Josh Donaldson is DHing. Jose Bautista's in right. Chris Colabello, yeah, that's a 17-game hit streak. Russell Martin, the catcher. Danny Valencia, third. Kevin Pillar in center. Ezekiel Carreras in left, and Munenori Kawasaki plays second base. Jose Reyes in the box. Brad Hand delivers. Fastball for a strike.
Well, it's been a little consistency now for Brad Hand as he makes his 3rd start. Still working out of the stretch. It's something he did from the beginning of the season because he was in the bullpen.
Reyes punches one to right, and that's a hit. Ichiro picks it up, and the Blue Jays not only have a runner, but they've got Reyes on. He's swiped 5 bags in the last 2 games.
Somehow you have a feeling Jose Reyes will be up for this series. There's the defense with Yelich, Ozuna, and Ichiro starting in right field. Of course, Stanton is the DH. Prado, Echeverria, D. Gordon, and Justin Bour, Real Muto behind the plate. And it's a defense that's going to have to adjust to a turf that they're not used to. It's a new turf here. It's very slow.
It's the slowest artificial surface I have ever seen for baseball, and the Marlin players all agree. Even the Blue Jay players agree. Reyes dancing from first. Donaldson goes after the first pitch and skies it out to center, and Ozuna is there. Marcel makes the catch. It's field turf, and this is it feels like a much longer version with a higher blades of the artificial grass.
Even the warning track is also a turf. That's not dirt, but yeah, much higher than a normal turf field, which this used to be. It used to be very fast surface up here.
And of course, with the field turf, it is anchored with the rubber pellets that fall in between the blades and act as a soil. And it seems like it's very heavy and slow so far. Joey Bats is up now. Jose Bautista, who pumped out 2 home runs yesterday in the win over the Houston Astros.
Well, he pumped out 35 last year. Pumped out 54 in 2011.
Reyes has a foot out on the turf. It's one of the subtleties that is lost with all the natural surfaces in baseball now, and thank goodness for that, is the running path and how to measure a lead with the base runner like Reyes. You can always tell if he's got a foot out on the carpet, he's got a good lead.
That's a great point, too. You get that 1 foot. He started to inch his other foot on the carpet.
He certainly has hands attention. Bautista, an 11-game hit streak.
But he doesn't have Brad Hand figured out, because on that pitch that Brad just made, Reyes went back to first base.
Reyes, an interesting compliment to a team that has huge thunder from this side of the plate. And Bautista is one of those guys. Against left-handed pitching, this is the best team in baseball. Their slash line, 306, 363, 493 as a team. And checks. Bautista rockets one to left. Yelich picks it up. Reyes to second. And the Blue Jays have their second hit against Brad Hand.
As that ball skipped off the turf, you could see some of that underneath stuff bounce up, almost like dirt. The rubber pellets. Watch this. There it is. That's going to be interesting. The outfielders will have to get used to it. But a solid swing there by Bautista.
It makes it a very slow infield surface. It enlarges the range of the infielders. It's also a great carpet to bunt on, because almost like Velcro, it'll suck the ball up and keep it fair. Of course, the Blue Jays don't do a whole lot of bunting, do they?
No, they don't.
Here is Colabello, who's at first and in the cleanup spot, and he is red hot. And of course, the Marlins saw him a couple years ago with the Minnesota Twins. Just an incredible journey to the big leagues. 7 years in independent baseball. Finally got a chance in Double-A with the Twins in 2012. Injured his thumb last year. Over the head of Echeverria in the gap. Picked up by Yelich. Bautista didn't stop. He's on his way to third. Chris Colabello is quickly becoming a fan favorite here in Toronto. 18 straight he's hit in now. The 31-year-old from Worcester, Mass.
Well, I think any crowd, a home crowd, would appreciate his journey to get here, to become a major leaguer. And the hitting streak continues. He got the game-winning hit in their ball game yesterday against the Astros. Reyes scored easily. Bautista didn't hesitate. He went first, third on that base hit, too.
Colabello really good against left-handed pitching, and Russell Martin is as well. Martin hitting .364, and here he is at the corners with one out. Hand misses inside. Martin's 2 years in Pittsburgh both ended in the postseason. Last year, decidedly better than 2013. His on base percentage last year was .402, hit .290. Of course, became a leader certainly in the clubhouse and on the field for Clint Hurdle and the Pirates. And he's taken on that same role here in Toronto.
I think the Pirates have done all right with Francisco Cervelli, but they weren't sure how they'd be and how much they would miss Russell Martin.
Cervelli had never been a full-time catcher. In fact, Cervelli and Martin were teammates when Martin spent a few seasons with the New York Yankees.
But the Pirates right now 6.5 behind St. Louis, second place in that Central Division.
Colabello at first, Bautista at third. Big swing by Martin. It's 2-2.
It's always a little tougher for a starting pitcher to go out there in that first inning, and you go out there to try to establish what you have for that night. But all of a sudden, 3 base hits and a run, you're in survival mode.
Full count, 3-2.
Pretty good pitch. He got to change up the pitch before, and then he tried to run that fastball inside and just missed with it.
Martin pops it up first base side and out of play. There is a pretty good amount of foul territory. It is a multi-purpose stadium. The CFL has played here for years, although it sounds as if the football team is on their way out of Rogers Center.
Still have a lot of events here, though.
Been some NFL games in this building as well. Second home of the Buffalo Bills. 3-2, runner goes in the air towards the line. Ichiro over in foul territory, reaches, does not make the catch, and he ends up in the seats. It's a foul ball. Ichiro's all right. It's kind of a treacherous area there.
Yeah, you've got the short wall. You've got a lot of fans reaching. It was off his glove. If he catches it, Bautista does tag up and score from third. But always great effort by Ichiro.
Ichiro was trying to gauge not only where the fence was, but where the fans were as well.
Yeah, they remember him coming in with the Yankees.
We've seen him plenty of times.
Oh, yeah.
Seattle, and New York.
141 games he's played against the Blue Jays.
3-2. Runner goes again, and Martin fouls that pitch back.
We talked about Buffalo. Buffalo about a 2-hour drive from Toronto. For those of you who are trying at home, trying to figure out the geographics of everything.
Adam Conley's wife is making that drive.
Yeah, around the lake.
Conley just called up. Brian Morris placed on the disabled list with that lower back strain. 3-2 pitch. And it's out. Bags are loaded. Of all the hitters that are stocked in the Blue Jay lineup that hit lefties, there is another hitter whose name is not a household name, except maybe in Boca Raton. And that's Danny Valencia, Spanish River High School, played at the University of Miami. Valencia, who's been in the big leagues with 5 different teams now. Look at the splits.
Now that's this year. In his career, 549 at bats against lefties, and he's a .333 career hitter. Makes his home now in Delray Beach.
Miami's infield is back for 2. Bases filled with Blue Jays. Right center, well hit. Ozuna looking, top of the wall. Scoring is Bautista. Colabello scores. Martin stops at third. And Danny Valencia came a couple feet away from a grand slam. Wow, that was a rocket.
Well, we laid it out for you. We told you what he's done in his career and this year against left-handers. He's been devastating. First pitch out over the plate, and he shows the kind of power he has. That one into right center field, and yeah, he just misses a grand slam. You and I told him we'd say good things about him because he makes his home and family down in Delray Beach. Don't have to worry about it when you hit the ball like that.
That's his 10th double of the season. Still only one out. Chuck Hernandez out for an early visit with Brad Hand. Kevin Pillar, 26-year-old out of Southern California. And he takes outside. Pillar, who's been filling up the highlight shows with his defense. He and Christian Yelich know each other quite well. They competed against each other. And he lines it right out towards Yelich on a hop. 1 run scores. Valencia around third. He will score. And the Blue Jays have a big, big inning against Brad Hand.
Wow, these guys have come out swinging. They've all had aggressive swings. Brad Hand has not hit his spots. A whole lot of pitches have been up, and they have not wasted any time in jumping on him. Good jump by Valencia at second base to score on that, to realize that ball was going to drop in front of his buddy, Christian Yelich.
Miami's bullpen is scurrying right now. Carrera fouls it. Andre Rienzo in Miami's bullpen is trying to get loose as fast as he can.
Brad Hand making his first ever appearance against the Toronto Blue Jays.
Ezequiel Carrera out of Venezuela. Straight left-handed hitter. And he goes around. Carrera goes back for an ask. Chris Conroy said you went, and that's a strikeout. So with 2 outs, and Pillar at first, Munenori Kawasaki.
Before this series is over, we may be calling him what his teammates call him, Mooney.
He is a really enjoyable guy.
Yeah, you had a nice conversation with him.
33-year-old. As you would expect, an outstanding player in Japan. 8 consecutive All-Star teams, 4 Gold Gloves, 4 best nines. The best 9 awarded to the best player at each position. Runner goes. Real Muto's throw on a hop and a stolen base by Pillar. And a good move certainly by John Gibbons, the skipper of the Blue Jays. If he gets thrown out, he's got Kawasaki leading off the next inning.
Well, we've seen the Blue Jays come out aggressively, swinging, running, and they have established this is not going to be an easy 3-game series.
So Pillar's in scoring position. Kawasaki started the winning rally last night with a pinch hit double against the Astros.
Don't see a lot of players choke up on the bat as much as he does.
You know, I asked him about the influence of Ichiro on his career. He said, oh, he's the #1 player, but I don't swing like him. A lot of especially left-handed bats in Japan, they grew up idolizing and emulating Ichiro's swing.
Nori Aoki in San Francisco.
The Kawasaki said Ichiro is so unique, there's no use trying to copy him. He's a guy that generally keeps both hands on the bat when he swings through. He's 3-1. Of course, Ichiro has that kind of that iconic pose where he holds the bat upright out towards the pitcher. hits it well to left. Yelich in pursuit, can't get it. And it's up and over the wall, and the stolen base is enormous. It gives the Blue Jays another run. And a ground rule double by Munenori Kawasaki.
Well, your hopes was Brad Hand would get the left-hander out, but Kawasaki slices that ball and drives it a long way. You don't expect him to hit a ball that far to the opposite field, just out of the reach of Christian Yelich. Little visit, and that's going to be all for Brad Hand. A tough outing. Dan Jennings out there. We saw bullpen activity, so Rienzo is probably ready.
Dan Jennings will make the change. Andre Rienzo is in. Brad Hand can't get out of the first. And it's 6-0 Toronto. West Kendall Toyota called to the bullpen. On 6 hits. And we told you Toronto is the best in baseball against lefties, and boy have they shown it here tonight. Andre Rienzo, the Brazilian, is out of Miami's bullpen, and he's on the mound now with 2 outs. Kawasaki, the runner, at second, and Reyes is up.
Rienzo making his 3rd outing as a Marlin. Had an inning and a third the other day in Denver. Boy, relaxing John Gibbons, manager of the Blue Jays, in their dugout.
Boy, no kidding.
No wonder. It's also his birthday. So how about that for a present?
Well, yesterday Toronto had to come from behind in dramatic fashion and walk off against the Astros. That was their 5th straight win. Good timing on the sign behind the plate for the Reyes at bat. And you wonder if that's part of the deal, that for his fans.
It could be, Rich, it could be part of that $22 million deal.
Little Dominican Republic sign. Here's a 1-1. It was true in Seattle when Ichiro first arrived. In fact, during his career, quite popular. A lot of signs during his at-bats behind home plate from Japanese advertisers. Pulled on the ground. Bohr has it, steps on the bag, but big damage by the Blue Jays in the first. 6-0. And the Yankees. That series starts Marlins Park on the 15th and the 16th. That's a Monday and a Tuesday night. You can save money. You get the best seats available with a prorated season ticket plan, starting at just $15 a game. 1-877-MARLINS or go to marlins.com. Well, a 6-run hole for Ichiro and the Fish. Justin Bour, Marcell Ozuna, Christian Yelich will try to start digging.
Yeah, there is time to dig. That's the one saving grace here.
Bour a 1 for 7 in Denver. Pulls a ground ball the first. Colabello has it. Little flip to Estrada. And Marco Estrada has retired all 4 that he has faced.
Nice play by Chris Colabello, who's not known for his defense, but a good play there. Marlins are 18-6 lifetime against the Blue Jays.
There's Marcell Ozuna. Of the numbers you see there, that slugging percentage is the one that Ozuna and the Marlins would like to see rise. And that would reflect more extra base hits, including home runs, of which he's hit 3. You know the power's in there. I mean, anybody that leads the Florida State League in home runs has power. And of course, Ozuna last year blasted 23, had 23 doubles. His slugging percentage was .455. Pulls it, third base side. Valencia safe. The throw brought Colabello up the line, and Ozuna was hustling and busting it, and he gets the bag. We'll see if it's an error on Danny Valencia.
Well, he got in a little trouble going back on it. You do that, you have to make a perfect throw. Normally, it would be Josh Donaldson over there at third, but Donaldson DHing tonight to get Valencia's bat in there against the lefty.
He's going to get a base hit. Here's Yelich, pulls one, and pops out of the glove of Colabello. He'll step on the bag, and Yelich is out.
Colabello may have been thinking about a little bit too much, catching the ball, either throwing to second, first, coming back with the relay, or stepping on the bag and trying to get the out at second. Ball hit well by Christian Yelich. So Colabello settles for 1.
JT Realmuto now. Blue Jays have chased Miami's starter Brad Hand, and Marco Estrada is in a great spot here, given a 6-run lead. Realmuto had the big night to open up the Rockies series, was 4 for 4. Including his 4th triple. This is not a great triples ballpark. Narrow gaps, artificial surface. Not very deep down the lines either. Two and 0.
Usually, a lot of it depends on the weather, but usually when they do have the roof open, the ball jumps and carries pretty well.
Realmuto was on that pitch. He fouled it straight back.
Yeah, he was. That was a good swing on a 90-mile-an-hour fastball. Here's the pitch. He got it up. Marco Estrada was traded to the Blue Jays for Adam Lind. That's how they acquired him.
That one's going to end up in the seats.
See, a pitcher and a catcher, certainly with the experience of Russell Martin, when they see a swing such as the one Realmuto had on that fastball, they go, man, he was on that pitch. So what they do, they came back with a changeup.
on a hop. Reyes backing up. Strong arm. Just gets him. That's quite a play by Jose Reyes. Blue Jays score early and often and are up 6-0. This copyrighted telecast presented by the authority. The Marlins may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Marlins. Josh Donaldson against Andre Rienzo, who took over for Brad Hand. Just 2/3 of an inning for Hand. And responsible for all 6 runs and all 6 hits. Donaldson flied out. He sends that one to center field. It's deep. It's deep. Way back there. And off the facing of the second deck. That's a mammoth home run. That's Carlos Delgado-like in this building.
Boy, that's 16 for Donaldson, who's putting together a very solid year. 41 RBIs. He's second in the league in slugging, tied for second in RBIs. Watch this blast. Fastball, middle of the plate. Wow.
7 home runs in his last 13 games.
What were the Oakland A's thinking?
Well, the A's did get some young talent that was pretty good. But I think they missed Donaldson for sure. Now Bautista. Breaking ball for a strike. Jose Bautista single back in the first. He's now hit in 12 straight.
Being that we're in the American League City using the DH, it's the type of game.
That is strike 3.
Uh-oh, he's going to get tossed if he comes out and argues that.
And he's going out to talk with Angel Hernandez. So this should be entertaining.
Look at Angel has a hand up on his face, saying, come on, John. John, it's your birthday. Don't get all worked up. You got a big lead.
Here's the side swing look.
Yeah, I think he did. But Gibbons out there trying to protect his player. But the point I was trying to make here in the American League City,
he ran him. He's already been tossed.
That's why he went out. Yeah, that's why he went out. Is that if you get a pitcher out there, in a case of Rienzo, that can give you a few innings, you don't have to worry about pinch hitting for him. So Gibbons going to go back. He's going to have a little birthday cake.
How much of that?
Relax.
How much of that, Hut, is he really feels he didn't swing, or the fact that Jose Bautista, who is one of his horses,
that's part of it.
Appreciates that his manager goes out enough to get thrown out.
That's part of it. Yeah. Long time in the Mets organization, managed in the minor leagues, was a bench coach for Kansas City, and it's his second time around managing the Blue Jays.
It is. You saw DeMarlo Hale, who was the bench coach, and now he's running the team. John Gibbons will go back and probably get a few phone calls in his office from friends and family who are going to wait till after the game to call him to wish him happy birthday.
Yeah, he can answer some texts, take a few calls.
Here is Colabello. You wonder, Tommy, how many more guys like Colabello are out there in the independent leagues? He spent 7 years and put up really good numbers in those leagues. And when he finally got a chance to play in the minor leagues, he tore it up there. He had 303, 526 slugging. But I think last year was a disappointment, and he got off to a good start with the Twins, and it hurt his thumb and tried to play through it.
That effect, if you've arrived at the way he did, you try to play through that.
Right. There's not a whole lot of patience if you're not a quote-unquote prospect.
He even started this year in AAA and was tearing it up.
I think he was the International League Player of the Month for April.
He's hitting .337 at 5 home runs before he got here. Now he's got an 18-game hitting streak.
And I would guess that whenever say that travel is tough or it's a long day at the ballpark, there's no complaints from Colabello.
You can think about some of those independent league trips.
Without question. Hits it on the ground to short. Echeverria has it. Goes across the diamond to get him. And there's 2 outs after a Josh Donaldson home run has stretched the lead to 7-0.
That's the guy, Echeverria, right there. When you talk to people who follow the Blue Jays, that's the guy in that trade in 2012 they didn't want to get rid of. They knew what kind of a player he was going to become. And we're fortunate enough we've been able to see it.
Here's Russell Martin. Rienzo misses down low. Martin walked back in the first. If you're just joining us, the Blue Jays put 6 on the board and chased Brad Hand in that first inning. The biggest hit was South Florida's own Danny Valencia. A 2-run double off the top of the right center field wall. Kevin Pillar then knocked in 2 with a single. Rienzo catches the bottom of the zone. It's 2-2.
A lot of players for the Marlins. First time here in this ballpark.
For you and I, it's our first time back since 2009. You obviously spent a lot of time here as a broadcaster for both the Blue Jays and the Yankees. Diving stop. Prado on his knee. And it pops over Bohr's head and rolls to the wall. Holding it first with a base hit was Russell Martin. But what an effort by Martin Prado.
This is just tremendous. Laying out completely. Couldn't really get enough balance. And then the hop took kind of a funny hop for Justin Bohr over at first base. He's on the knee, but he's falling backward as he tries to get the throw over to first. This is a great effort by Martin Prado. I don't know what took him so long to score that a base hit.
No, I saw E flash up and shook my head, but it is a base hit. I think what the scorer may have thought Martin went to second and given Prado an error on the overthrow.
Had he gone to second, there would have been an error.
So 8 hits now, and here is Valencia. Danny Valencia, 9th year as a professional, University of Miami, and he was a late round guy. 19th round by the Twins, got to the big leagues with Minnesota, then Boston, then Baltimore. Last year, 36 games for the American League champ Kansas City Royals.
Played a little bit of UNC Greensboro as well. Had a decent year with the Twins a few years back, 15 home runs in 2011. But I'll tell you what, if you establish yourself as a guy who can hit lefties as well as he has, he'll be around a while.
Ask Jeff Baker that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's Bake has made a really nice living in the big leagues. 1-2 pitch. Valencia hits it high into left. Yelich is there, and he makes the catch. 6 runs in the first for Toronto. And this one counted for just 1, but it went a long way. Josh Donaldson, and it's 7-0 Blue Jays.
Seven to nothing in the top of the third. Well, the Major League Baseball draft kicked off earlier this evening. Had a chance to talk to several Marlins players about that experience, including Christian Yelich.
I remember it was a pretty crazy day. I was still in high school at the time. I still had 5 or 6 days of school left. And I remember I had graduation practice and all that in the morning, and then came home and didn't let any of my friends come over or anything. You don't really know what's going to happen, and it's kind of a crazy, stressful, hectic day. And I remember, hearing my name called by the Marlins, and it's a really cool, crazy feeling, all kind of mixed up into one. And everybody's really excited and happy, and it's definitely, a special day and something that I'll never forget.
And Rich, Tom, you take a look at Christian Yelich and what he's been able to do for this organization. He is certainly one of their draft picks that is making a difference.
Yeah, first round 2010. Thank you, Jessica. The Marlins have the 12th overall pick in the draft. 8 picks have gone. 8 teams have selected in the first round. We will update you as we go. So the Marlins are not yet on the clock, but they're getting close. Dansby Swanson, the shortstop from Vanderbilt, was the first overall pick by the Arizona Diamondbacks. Alex Bregman, another shortstop by LSU. And Echeverria, also a shortstop, fouls it off.
So a couple of college shortstops.
A high school shortstop went third overall. Brendan Rodgers, Lake Mary High School in Florida. He went to the Colorado Rockies. Echeverria's first AB. 2-2 pitch coming from Marco Estrada. That kind of fits, Tommy, with what we've heard from scouts, especially in the last 2, 3, 4 years with the absence of PEDs. The game is looking for more athletic players, and so a lot of teams will draft shortstops, and if they're not at shortstops, they project them in other positions, whether catcher, third base.
Well, the reason and the logic behind that, if you think about especially high school teams, as kids come up, usually the shortstop's your most athletic player, maybe your best player. So you might see a team draft 3 or 4 shortstops, and they'll figure out a place to put them. There's one. He was drafted as a shortstop, JT.
Was headed to Oklahoma State.
Christian Yelich was headed to the University of Miami.
Ichiro rolls one up the middle. Kawasaki throws out a guy that was his idol growing up and was his teammate for a season in Seattle.
Well, so far, first time through the order, Dan Jennings hasn't seen a lot of offensive punch. An infield base hit by Marcell Ozuna.
D. Gordon flied to center. His first at bat. He got a steady diet of Marco Estrada changeups in that first inning. Marcell Ozuna infield hit is the only hit. And even that one was debatable. Remember, Valencia made a wide throw to first. If this game gets later and the Marlins don't have a hit, that could become a pretty good point of controversy.
By the way, it's really a nice move. I think it works well with Ichiro hitting 9th, and then you come back around with D. Gordon. So in essence, you have 2 leadoff hitters back to back.
Gordon sends that one out to center. Pilar is there, and he makes the catch. Marco Estrada shutting down the Marlins. Marlins and Rockies renew acquaintances. Marlins took 2 of 3 in Denver. A 4-gamer starts this Thursday in Miami. 7:10 start. Seniors 55 and older get a free ticket on Seniors Free Ticket Thursdays. Presented by Wellmax. Or you can visit your local South Florida Subway restaurant, get a coupon for a $5 ticket, maybe a $5 footlong as well, and go to Marlins.com.
Yeah, we talked about the Marlins 18-6 overall against Toronto, 10-2 here in this ballpark.
The names and the faces have changed dramatically since 2009. Kevin Pillar. Andre Rienzo misses out. Pillar to be followed by Ezekiel Carrera and Munenori Kawasaki. And Pillar walks.
You know, most of the games that Andre Rienzo pitched for the White Sox were as a starter. So Rienzo, a little bit in 13, had 10 starts with Chicago. 18 games, 11 starts in 2014.
Now Carrera, he struck out his first time up. Tomorrow night is Tuesday night, and it's an international edition of the Email and Twitter Tuesday. Unfortunately, we can't have it tonight because right now it's a 7-run hole that the Marlins are sitting in. And look at the pitching matchup tomorrow. Mark Burley, Dan Herron. It's a matchup that both teams are already talking about. Two veteran pitchers who work quickly and know what they're doing.
Yeah, Dan Herron has been solid with his 6-2 record. Mark Burley 7-4 in his 11 starts. It'll also be a tough night with the combination of Burley and Russell Martin. A tough night to steal a base.
Well, if you're Andre Rienzo, you have to realize that you're going to be in there for a while.
You know, one of the options
to left, Yelich there, down to a knee to make the catch.
But I don't think Dan Jennings would utilize it, and rightfully so. One of the options you would think would be Adam Conley. We talked about Conley, the left-hander, joining the ball club with Brian Morris going on the disabled list. Conley threw Friday for New Orleans, and I think he was about 108 pitches. So today would be a throw day for him, but certainly not a day that you're going to have him go out and throw 2 or 3 innings.
There's Kawasaki. The bullpens here, to me, have always been the most relaxing bullpens in all of baseball. It's like sitting out on a deck and watching a game. I mean, you're not having to sit in a little hole with a screen in front of you. You get to sit up on the deck, elevated, right at fence level.
In some ballparks, that's an expensive seat. I wonder if they'll. Well, no. I guess if the roof is open, then they bring the grill out on the deck. But they're not allowed to do it with the roof closed. Bring the grill out, a couple of Labatt's.
Now there's a choice. You can see you can go down the stairs and sit ground level. Runner goes, little hit and run, shot to third. Prado crossed the diamond in time. Blue Jays putting the game in motion. And up comes Jose Reyes.
So what you're saying, you have your choice.
Yes, there you can sit down there like behind Ichiro, or you can go up on the deck, kind of not the Party City deck in New York at Citi Field, but it's close without the party. There's the steps. I remember when they first opened this place, it was one of the first ballparks that had cameras in the bullpens, and the cameras weren't just for television. They were for the managers in each dugout. There was actually a TV set in the dugout so they could see their bullpen or the opponent's
They
bullpen.
can see both bullpens, yeah.
Because you want to see who's warming up if you want to get a pinch hitter going. That's the Marlin side.
And back in 92 and 93, Cito Gaston did a good job at peeking into his bullpen and seeing the oppositions. One of those
Reyes to right, and it's hooking, and it's foul.
One of those really successful and maybe not heralded bullpen guys for Cito Gaston in those World Championship years. Saw him at the ballpark tonight. Does a little work for Toronto. Dwayne Ward. And yeah, Dwayne Ward and Tom Henke. That's all you needed.
1993, the last time the Blue Jays were in the postseason, and their drought of 21 years right now is the longest in Major League Baseball. Reyes, little tapper. Rienzo pounces on it, flips it on over to Justin Bour, and the inning is over. Miami in Toronto, down 7-0. Uverse, which has more live TV channels on the go than cable. Martin Burley slated to go tomorrow night. And when he was a Marlin, when he was a Chicago White Sox, he was a great fielding pitcher. An armload of gold gloves from Mark Burley. And it's a Dan Herron, Mark Burley matchup tomorrow here in Toronto. Martin Prado, Giancarlo Stanton, Justin Bour. The Marlins have not had much headway at all against Marco Estrada in 3 innings.
Well, I was just looking back, Rich, in 1992. Dwayne Ward was 7-4, had just 12 saves. Henke was the closer, threw 101 innings out of the bullpen. Tom Henke in 92 had 34 saves, then moved on to Texas. But a great career for Henke, 311 career saves.
A lot of the momentum that the Blue Jays had, having won 2 World Championships, was undercut by the strike of 1994. It certainly happened in Montreal. That was maybe the best Expos team there was. Out into center field, a base hit by Martin Prado. For whatever reason, the strike resonated more north of the border in these 2 cities. The Blue Jays have yet to get back to the postseason. Of course, as you know, Tommy, having worked in Montreal, the Expos franchise
Never
was able to rebound.
Yeah, never was able to recover. Here's Stanton now. He struck out back in the first.
By the way, a 10-game hitting streak now for Martin Prado with that base hit.
The pitch that Giancarlo Stanton is missing against right-handed hitters or right-handed pitchers right now is that slider. That's been the most troublesome pitch. There's a fastball that's out.
And 99% of the time, if it's not the slider or curveball, in the case of Estrada, it's off the plate. It's not a strike.
Stanton drives it right center field. That's a rocket. Wow! Out of here. A 2-run shot. That wasn't a slider. His 19th.
All right, Big G, show off a little of that power north of the border.
Remember, Estrada did throw him some high fastballs, and they were all out. And Stanton showing that immense power, taking a fastball and driving it out right center.
Boy, and that exited in a hurry.
So Miami gets 2 of them back, and it's 7-2. Bryce Harper and Giancarlo have been going back and forth these last 2 weeks. Ford takes a changeup for a strike. It's 0-1.
Well, 49 RBIs too now for Giancarlo.
Estrada misses in. Ball and a strike. Stanton continues that really curious run of home runs to hits. As Bohr swings and misses. 11 of his last 18 hits have been home runs.
Well, the Marlins too are playing their 7th game there in the month of June, and for Giancarlo, that's his 4th home run this month.
So he's homered in 4 of his last 6 games. Ozuna now. Ozuna had a debatable hit in the second. Stanton's obviously no question there. It was a ball that Danny Valencia fielded deep at third and then threw wide of first. It pulled Colabello off the bag. Ozuna was given a hit. No swing.
Rich, I wonder if, because we're here in Toronto, if StatCast gives us the distance in meters. And that would confuse us all.
Well, it's a favorable exchange rate right now, so maybe he'll get a few extra feet. One, two. Ozuna cracks it to center, and it almost gets over the head of Pilar, who came in and then realized he'd made a bad mistake.
You know, the amazing thing about good outfielders and Pilar is that yeah, you're going to get fooled once in a while. As a center fielder, that ball directly over your head is the toughest one. But when you're a good outfielder, you react and you regroup and you make the catch.
And Pilar did. Here's Yelich. A hard ground ball to Colabello at first.
And dipping back into Blue Jays history with a little taste of Marlins history, they had one of the best here in Devon White.
And he was a big piece of those World Championship teams. Count 0-2. And Yelich stays alive. Miami Marlins are on the clock. We'll draft day update we'll have a little later on in the show. Yelich leans out, takes it away at changeup.
And they're on the clock, so to speak, here in this game. Here in the top of the fourth, trailing by 5.
Swing and a miss. Yelich after the fastball. Miami is on the board. A 2-run homer. Giancarlo Stanton. A rocket to right center. 7-2 Blue Jays. Have a 7-2 lead, bottom of the fourth on draft night. And the Marlins have gone for another power bat in the draft. Josh Naylor from Barrie, Ontario. That's 45 minutes north of here. Donaldson launches left field. Yelich makes the catch.
How about that for an interesting flavor to the draft with the Marlins here in Toronto?
St. Joan of Arc High School, Ontario, Canada. Josh Naylor is the 12th overall pick, the Marlins selection. Naylor is a left-handed power bat. If you watch the high school home run hitting contest at the All-Star game in Minnesota last year, you'll remember Naylor put on a big-time display. He's kind of built like a Prince fielder.
High school, we were told, what, about 45 minutes north of here?
Yes, in Barrie, Ontario. He's one of the best left-handed bats of all the high school players available.
We're also told to this point of the draft, the biggest surprise. So the Marlins going with some power left-handed bat. You know, it's one of those things, and we all know that you never know how things are going to work out for first-round picks. But boy, you think of a power left-handed bat batting behind Giancarlo.
Scanner report says he's the best first baseman from Canada since Joey Votto. He has committed to play college ball at Texas Tech. That is strike 3 to Jose Bautista. Andre Rienzo trying to settle into this ball game. Got a long fly ball out from Josh Donaldson. He gets Bautista. So the Marlins are somewhat of a surprise pick, but a guy that around here, and there was a feature on him today I watched on Rogers cable. Josh Naylor, drafted by the Marlins.
Well, as you heard from that clip of Christian Yelich, just a kind of a surreal day. And you go in the first round, I'm sure youngster and his family totally elated. As was Christian Yelich.
Naylor has committed to Texas Tech. Yelich had committed to Miami. Had a variety of other offers. Here's a 1-1 pitch. Chris Colabello takes down low. Colabello, RBI single in the first, bounced out in the second. First was the big inning. Blue Jays scored 6 times. They knocked Brad Hand out of the inning after he could get just the 2 out. And he was charged with all 6 runs. Josh Donaldson homered in the second. And that was against Rienzo.
Yeah, that base hit by Colabello in the first inning extended his hitting streak to 18 games.
And Naylor, by the way, just looking at that junior home run derby, he finished second. That was at the All-Star game last year. Mississauga, Ontario is home to him. His high school is in Barrie.
Now Mississauga is west of Toronto. 30 minutes, if that.
Pitch misses outside. Now we can get a scouting report on him from Giancarlo Stanton and Jose Bautista, because they were in the home run derby, and the junior home run derby contestants had a chance to rub shoulders and meet all the big leaguers. Colabello down. Nice inning for Andre Rienzo. And the Marlins are on the clock again, 7-2. Brought to you by Checkers. Get Checkers Authentic Philly Cheesesteak. Try the new Meatball Sub. Pick yours. By the Florida Department of Transportation, reminding you, drive sober or get pulled over. And by Xfinity, your home for the most live sports. Also brought to you by Plenty. Lots of points, lots of places. One rewards program. That is some hot dog.
Wow, look at the jalapenos.
Ooh, look at the heartburn.
Hey, I'm kind of chuckling in between innings, and there was kind of a smattering of applause. They put the big picture and the happy birthday wishes to John Gibbons.
A little late.
It's a little late.
John Gibbons ejected, but he was ejected with a 7-0 lead, and he was arguing a check swing by Jose Bautista. Angel Hernandez, the first base umpire who called the swing, ejected Toronto's manager, Real Muto. That's got a weird spin to it, and Real Muto has to hustle.
I tell you what, that would have come back into fair territory, and playing here, Russell Martin knew that. That's why he picked it up.
One ball, one strike. Just joined us in Toronto for a 3-game set. Look at the spin on that sucker.
Now, had JT not come out of the box, Russell Martin probably would have let it go back in fair and thrown him out.
South Florida Honda dealers, get you ready for tomorrow. A recap of draft day coverage. And then what a matchup. Dan Herron, Martin Burley. Real Muto fouls it back. Josh Naylor. The Marlins just took a big left-handed slugger out of Mississauga, Ontario, north of here. Naylor has a lot of international experience playing for the Canadian junior national team as well. Foul back to the screen.
Well, Marco Estrada continues to mix things up. The youngster was born in Sonora, Mexico, but moved to California. He's about 6 years old.
1-2 pitch. Real Muto drops the hammer. Carrera back and at the track makes the catch. Kind of an off-speed pitch, and he dropped the barrel. Got it pretty good, but it went 370 feet, and there's one out. And here is Echeverria. Echeverria bounced to third, back in the third. Shoots that one down the right field line. Bautista there, and he makes a running catch. 2 outs. We check in with Jessica Blaylock.
Well, Ichiro Suzuki up to bat now, and one thing that we have noticed, guys, at every ballpark that we have gone to, there are always Ichiro fans, and that includes here in Toronto. I had a chance to talk to Ichiro about that, and he said it is very humbling. You try and do everything that you can as a professional to play this game at the highest level, but to get that support from the crowd, it certainly gives you a boost. And, guys, we saw support for him even in New York. That's the one place that Ichiro said he was surprised to see that.
Well, it'd be interesting, too, Jess. Now, the Marlins aren't going back to play the Seattle Mariners, with whom Ichiro spent, a dozen years. But they will be going back to New York to face the Yankees. And he was there for 2 seasons. Ball and a strike. Ichiro bounced out his first time up, lines that one cleanly into center field for a base hit.
Well, he continues to move up on that list. 2,879. Next on the list, 2,880, Hall of Famer Frankie Frisch. Just that sweet swing. And another base hit for Ichiro.
It brings D. Gordon up. Gordon has flied out twice to center. 5-run ball game here in the 5th. Ichiro's running on the first pitch. Martin's throw is into Ichiro, and he's safe. Not sure where it caught him.
Well, we told you about Russell Martin, 48% in throwing runners out. But Ichiro saw the opportunity, got a great jump against Estrada, and picks up the steal. Might have picked up a little bruise as well.
Well, Miami being aggressive. Ichiro in scoring position for D. Gordon with 2 outs. Martin has to smother that one. Here's a 1-1.
Now there's an old saying, you just try to peck away, get a little closer if you can get to within grand slam range. And another run, the Marlins would be within grand slam range.
Count 3-1 to Gordon. 70 pitches for Marco Estrada. Prado and then Stanton. And Gordon pulls one to second. Kawasaki on to first. And the Marlins are done. They leave Ichiro out at second. 7-2 Toronto. Major League Draft. We talked about shortstops. The first 3 picks in tonight's Major League Draft. A pair of college shortstops. And the Rockies went with a high school shortstop. Dylan Tate, the right-hander out of UC Santa Barbara, was high on a lot of lists. You got a Texas, or rather a Florida, out of Plant High School, Kyle Tucker, going to Houston. Tyler J. out of Illinois, the lefty. Now, many felt that the Marlins might go with him, but obviously he's not available, as he was taken in the 6th overall pick. Marlins went down to 12th, and they ended up with a big left-handed power hitter from up around these parts, Josh Naylor.
Could have gotten a scouting report when we were in Denver from Ryan Spilborghs on the pitcher from Santa Barbara, UC Santa Barbara.
You know, we'll try to get him by phone tomorrow. He might be here tomorrow, right? I mean,
he could if he's coming home. He may be here already.
I don't know if he was. We're not watching MLB Network Speed. I don't know if he was in person or if he is up in these parts still. There's Russell Martin. And Martin takes a strike. Danny Valencia, Kevin Pillar in the bottom of the 5th. Andre Rienzo.
This has been a nice job by Andre Rienzo. 3 1/3, a couple of hits, 1 run to this point. You want to have a bullpen saver. He's certainly here in the 5th inning helping out.
He loses Martin, and here comes Valencia. A lot of high school players are going now. Garrett Whitley, the Rays selection, is a high school outfielder. That was with the number 13 pick. Braves went with a high school left-handed pitcher out of San Clemente, California, Colby Allard. No relation to Allard Baird. The Brewers took a high school pitcher, Trenton Clark, out of Richland High School in Texas. And that was the last selection that's on my little screen here. Danny Valencia now. Fouled off of Real Muto, and you saw him kind of hold that left-handed. Seemed to knock his glove right off his hand. Count a ball and strike. 7 runs on 8 hits for the Blue Jays. 6 of those runs and 6 of those hits in the first inning against Brad Hand. Miami's bullpen is up right now. To right, Ichiro dashing towards it. That's 1-2. It's like Vin Mazzaro in Miami's pen.
Now you talked about this Blue Jays club. They've been playing terrific baseball. They've won 5 straight.
And Valencia goes down. Let's go back in time for our Geico Marlins moment. Jose Fernandez, Matt Harvey. Wait a minute. Kevin Slowey, Sean Markham. That's right. 20-inning game at Citi Field. This Marcell Ozuna throw kept it going. Daniel Murphy thrown out at home. It tied, well, 6 hours and 25 minutes is a club record. There were 4 quality starts in that one.
That's the amazing thing.
It ended at 7:37. It was a 1 o'clock game. Dinner reservations were ruined. And you had 4 quality starts from
Ed Lucas, Derek Dietrich were in that game.
Harvey and Jose were terrific. And Kevin Slowey and Sean Markham were dynamite as well. Kevin Pillar's up. And he takes down low.
Fun looking at the box score of games like that. Rob Brantley had 4 hits, was 4 for 8. Echeverria 3 for 7.
That one hit hard, but foul. And it's 2-1. You brought up Ed Lucas's name earlier tonight, and it got us to thinking and wondering how Ed is doing.
Well, we took a quick peek. He's in AAA with Texas. He's been in 47 games. He's played more games than anybody on their club. And Ed Lucas is hitting .347. Good for him. And I'm sure playing everywhere, too.
Let's hope he gets back up to the big leagues and gets an opportunity. Count 3-1. 7-2. Blue Jays on top. Toronto's won 5 straight. And having watched them for the better part of 5 innings, you can see why. Offensively, they are a juggernaut right now. And tonight, they've been able to get decent pitching from Marco Estrada. Real Muto out to the mound, and he may be stalling. With Mazzaro getting his final tosses down in the bullpen.
In their 5 straight wins, by the way, Rich, they've outscored the opponents 35-13. So it's been a little bit of everything, pitching, hitting. And talking about #1 draft picks, saw today where Matt Dominguez was designated by the Houston Astros.
He was the #1 draft pick the year the Marlins took Giancarlo Stanton in the 2nd round. Rienzo flips in a breaking ball for a strike to Ezekiel Carrera.
That was a good gamble that paid off by the Marlins.
Remember listening to and reading quotes from the scout that scouted and helped sign Giancarlo. And a lot of times he would go to see him play and stay in his car because he didn't want anybody else seeing him there watching Stanton. He didn't want anybody else to know about it. That brings Gordon to the bag. Echeverria's turn is not in time. Holding third is Russell Martin. Getting down the line quickly was Carrera.
Absolutely. This, for most, is a double play, but Carrera really flying up the line, just beat the throw.
So it goes as a fielder's choice. And here is Munenori Kawasaki.
Kawasaki sliced one deep down the line over the head of Christian Yelich in the first inning. If Rienzo can get through this inning, Rich, it'll be a really nice performance to help things out as he approaches 75 pitches.
Without a doubt, if he gets out of here and giving up just the one run, that's a big win for Rienzo. And regardless if Miami comes back or not, a nice win for the bullpen. Runner goes, taken for a strike. The throw sails into center field. Echeverria got upended by the slide, but Real Muto's throw off the mark, and that costs the Marlins a run.
Would have been a tough play. We saw the speed of Carrera getting up the line, and that throw really took off out of the reach of Echeverria. So a stolen base, but an error charge to Real Muto, allowing a run come in from third base.
And a good changeup and a swing and a miss by Kawasaki. That's an unearned run, but still painful. 8-2 Blue Jays. That Giancarlo Stanton home run to right field, the only highlight offensively for Miami in an 8-2 Toronto lead. First of a 3-game series. Martin Prado, then Stanton, and then Justin Bour against Marco Estrada Into the 6th, Estrada has given up just those 2 runs. Hasn't walked anybody. He has struck out 4. Prado extended his hit streak to 10 with a line drive single his last time up.
6 hits in 18 at bats against Marco Estrada, too, for Martin Prado.
Blue Jays have a home run from Josh Donaldson. Big 2-run double from Danny Valencia. One ball, 2 strikes. Having not been here since 2009, looking around, they've made a few changes. The turf is brand new. That area in center field, which used to be a restaurant, is now some great standing room spots. There they are. That used to be a restaurant. There is a restaurant above that level. There you go. Carlos Delgado used to go out there. Used to be what, the Hard Rock Cafe?
Yeah, he used to visit. The Hard Rock was in right field, I think. Yeah, he visited there a few times.
There's the 2-2. Chopper out towards Reyes. And he gets Prado. Rockies. Marlins just saw him. Took 2 of 3. They'll see him again starting on Thursday and on Friday. It's a fireworks Friday. And it's a summer beach bash. Got the post-game fireworks presented by Waste Management. The Beach Bash package is just $25. You get Marlins sandals, special activities, and all of that. Marlins.com/special events. Stanton fouls it back. This was a special event. Warren Henry drive of the game. Now, it didn't quite reach the restaurant, but Stanton sending it out opposite field. Fastball up. And it's a ball and a strike. I don't know that anyone has ever hit it off the facing of the hotel. I would guess Carlos Delgado would be one candidate. Stanton flips that one foul and out of play. But the Renaissance Hotel is out there. That was always a feature when this place opened. Home to Robbie Alomar when he played here.
Never had to leave. Hall of Famer. Robbie Alomar.
Stanton drives it down the line, and it's fair. And around first on his way to second, Giancarlo adds a double to his night.
Now getting, I guess you could say, half the night off as the designated hitter tonight. Watch this ball up the line out of the reach of Danny Valencia. Giancarlo's had some nice swings tonight. Even the pitches earlier in that at bat that he fouled off. The home run certainly, without question.
Here is Justin Bour.
Justin Bour seeing a diet of more off-speed pitches. And now it's up to him to make that adjustment. There's a changeup.
There's that period in time when a young player comes up and gets off to a good start. Usually it's about a 3-week to a month grace period, and then the league adjusts to you. And the question is, can that player adjust back to the league?
Yeah, the nature of the game at this level, once you've gotten to this level, is constant adjustments. And if you don't learn how to do that, then you won't stay here.
It's funny, we were talking to Chuck Hernandez about some of his pitchers, and in particular Dan Herron, and he said, you know, to pitch at an older age, you have to be able to make adjustments. And the guys that are able to pitch more than 5-6 years in this league and pitch with success, exactly what you just talked about as it pertains to hitters.
Yeah, we'll see 2 guys tomorrow night who've made a lot of adjustments.
2-1 pitch to Bour. And Bour calls time. Rain in the area. It rained a little bit this morning. It rained a lot last night and early in the morning. Pitch down low. Right now, outside, 61 degrees with a 50% chance of rain. At the top of the hour, 9 o'clock here in Toronto. 80% chance at 10 o'clock tonight. That's why they have the roof closed. And Bohr swings and misses, and there's that diet continuing of off-speed pitches.
And it's a changeup that actually is up in the zone a little bit, but effective. Again.
Down goes Bohr. Every Tuesday, that would be tomorrow, it's Email and Twitter Tuesday right here on Fox Sports Florida. Tune in tomorrow night starting at 6:30. Your chance to ask questions and be featured on the telecast by tweeting and following on Twitter and Instagram via @FoxMarlins. You can send an email to foxmarlins@gmail.com. So it's going to rain here in Toronto, and the roof is tightly shut. But it got me to thinking, Tommy, the Marlins had a rain delay on opening night this year. They've had 4 rain delays in Skydome history or Rogers Center. Ozuna fouls it back. But I unearthed a couple other delays. 4 by rain. There was a fog delay and a bug delay.
They had a delay the other night in Seattle.
Yes, they did.
A little rain. So it does happen in other cities that have retractable domes.
Ozuna muscles that one into right center field. That'll score a run. Stanton around third on his way home, and Marcell Ozuna with his second hit drives in his 22nd run. And the Marlins salvage the Stanton double.
Took that fastball that was running in, stayed inside with his hands, and seen Marcell do that a number of times this year.
Here's Yelich. Steve Delabar up in Toronto's pen. Yelich shoots it out to short. Reyes goes the short way and gets the out. Miami gets a run, but the Marlins still 5 back of the Blue Jays. NL right now. Jose Fernandez, Matt Latos, Jared Cozart, and Henderson Alvarez. The good news is there are a trio of them that are on track to return to the big leagues, with Matt Latos probably being the closest. This might be his last rehab start tonight. He's in New Orleans.
He's a couple of innings into his rehab start.
2 2/3 in. Struck out 3, walked 2, no hits. Jared Cozart and Jose Fernandez will continue their rehab, and Henderson Alvarez is still hoping to get going with his throwing program.
I would say in the case of Jared Cozart, one more start from him, if all goes well, we could see him after that.
Top of the order. Vin Mazzaro in for Miami. 6th appearance. ERA 1.35. So Mazzaro's pitched well. Reyes turning to Chris Conroy. Reyes where you would expect him at 296. Doesn't walk a whole lot. His on base just 314. He flips that one out to center. Marcell Ozuna circles and makes the catch. And here comes Josh Donaldson. Tommy Hunt, what's your favorite thing about Skydome, Rogers Center?
Well, you know, first of all, any dome, the same thing at home. You know, regardless of what's outside, you're gonna be on time. I think we have good sight lines from our booth. You get to listen to a couple of anthems every night.
I like the dual anthem. It's very traditional. They had a great children's choir that sang both anthems tonight. And if it doesn't work out, they can turn this into a loft.
We have lots of room,
right?
We could share it. We could share it with our brethren next door, Pat Tabler and Buck Martinez.
Ah, that's right. They are next door.
I think it's their turn to cook.
Real Muto is out in front of the plate. Makes the catch. It makes it a lot easier for a catcher on a play like that with no wind. You can turn yourself around and make the catch. There you are. There's Buck over there.
They're right next door.
Buck is sporting the nice pink shirt.
Yeah, he's got the pink on.
Pat Tabler
over here.
He still looks like he could play.
Yeah, he's in good shape.
Now, I know the other thing you're looking forward to is the big song and dance number in the 7th inning stretch. OK Blue Jays, which is a tradition.
Hey, quick story about Pat Tabler, by the way. He was down during batting practice talking to Brett Butler. They were teammates in Cleveland, and one of their other teammates, Brooke Jacoby, was a hitting coach with Toronto. And the last time Brett Butler was in this ballpark was in 1991 in the All-Star game.
You know, you delivered that with a real Vin Scully-like flair.
There's Brett thinking about all those years. That was the All-Star game that Cal Ripken won the home run hitting contest and then won the game for the American League with a home run.
Jose Bautista walks with 2 outs. And here is Chris Colabello.
Hey, Dan Jennings has told us guys like Vin Mazzaro, Andre Rienzo, he really appreciates having them because of their experience as major league pitchers. They've been in the big leagues before, and he just likes to be able to go to a couple of guys like that, have them in the bullpen. You hate to go too early, as he had to tonight with Rienzo.
Brad Hand just 2/3 of an inning, 6 runs in the first. Rienzo 2 runs, 1 earned in 4 1/3. And Mazzaro here has 2 outs in the 6th. Chris Colabello brought this place to life with an RBI single in the first. The last swing of the bat that he had before that one, he brought the house down. Crowd of over 30,000 yesterday. It was his hit. It was a 2-run single to walk off against the Astros.
Speaking of big walk-off hits, the caveat to that Tabler, Brooke Jacoby, Brett Butler story, tomorrow Joe Carter will be in the house, who had the biggest of all walk-off home runs, was also a teammate of theirs in Cleveland.
You are so Vinny-like tonight. You are so Vinny-like tonight.
It all just falls together.
Yeah, it's interesting to note. Isn't it ironic? Here's the 2-1. And misses in. Tom Cheek. The late great Tom Cheek.
Late great.
Touch them all, Joe. You'll never hit a
greatest call ever.
Bigger homer. And that was a big one. It was a walk-off to win the World Series.
And that's certainly a call that you're not writing down what you're going to say when something happens.
Echeverria to his left, shovels it. Gordon at second in time to get the outs. Then Mazzaro gets through the 6th. This play by Etch.
Just like listening to the draft, and when I heard my name, it was pretty cool.
Did you have any expectations as far as where you thought you would be taken?
No, because I came from a small college and I was a senior, so I was just hoping that someone would give me an opportunity, and luckily the Marlins did. So here I am, still playing.
You've got the opportunity. You took advantage of it to still be playing at a successful level. What does that mean to you?
It's huge. I mean, it just shows that once you get drafted, you get a uniform, and some guys that get drafted early on might get bigger opportunities than guys taken late, but if you do what you're supposed to do, the rest will take care of itself.
Tom Kohler. Marlin draft gems.
That's a great attitude. You want everybody to have that same kind of attitude that Tom Kohler has.
Real Muto sends that one into center field for a base hit. A leadoff single here in the 7th.
Let's see that list again. There you go.
The Hammer was a 17th rounder. Was it North Alabama, I believe Hammer was from? Logan Morrison was a junior college player.
Starting to come on with Seattle this year, by the way.
That was the last draft and follow, where you could draft a guy and then follow him all the way up until the next draft and try to sign him. And A.J. Ramos certainly has worked out as well. Here's Echeverria. He's 0 for 2.
Saw Dave Berg's name on that list. Dave Berg moving up in the managerial chain in the minor leagues, managing in Jacksonville for the Marlins.
Chopper to short. Reyes out there. The turn is a good one. Kawasaki took a good slide from Rio Muto, but still turned it to get Echeverria.
That was a nicely turned double play. All those infielders knowing that Echeverria runs pretty well. Reyes got this and gave a hard feed to Kawasaki, who took a hit but made a good throw to first. Good clean hard slide by Real Muto. Upends Kawasaki, but he completed the double play.
It's not something you want to do outside a biker bar. Ichiro is 1 for 2. And the count 0-2.
Wouldn't those be mostly Harleys, though?
Yeah. Yeah, but there's nobody named Harley on the field, so I went for the nearest Kawasaki I could find. No Hondas. There's Ichiro Suzuki at the plate. There's 1-2 to Ichiro. Ow, that bounced up and got him. Ichiro's been hit twice in this game. Remember, he was hit on the throw to second when he stole second in the 5th. Looked like right in the jaw. Ball and 2 strikes. 99th pitch for Marco Estrada. There's that tantalizing changeup, which floats ever so nicely until it gets up around the plate. Then it dives under the knees. Foul tip, and Martin held it. Ichiro strikes out. Estrada with 7 strong innings.
For Toronto, well, the Blue Jays have a very athletic catcher in Russell Martin, and for good reason. Martin incorporates mixed martial arts into his off-season training routine. It's something that he discovered back in 2002. He's been trying to do it ever since, and Rich and Tommy, he says that it's been a huge help in improving his stability, his flexibility, and mobility behind the plate.
Well, you're right. He is athletic. Marcell Ozuna makes the catch. I would think diet is important as well for a guy like Russell Martin, who has a few words for a former teammate. Vin Mazzaro was in that Pirate bullpen when Martin was a Pittsburgh Pirate.
You know, when you're 32 and you play a demanding position such as catcher, you learn that if you want to extend things, you're going to have to do all those things: the workout, the eating habits, and Russell Martin has done that.
Well, it's economics too, right? You get to be his age, 31, and you're a free agent. You want to be in the best shape of your life. You want to extend your career, and he was rewarded with that large contract. Not many 32-year-old catchers get a 5-year contract.
5-year deals. And now we have the 30-year-old out of Spanish River High School up there.
Danny Valencia smacks that one to left. Yelich won't get it. Bangs off the wall. Valencia around first. Yelich's throw, and he is in there.
Was second double for Danny Valencia. He absolutely crushed that ball.
Rocky Series starts Thursday. On Saturday, a Saturday spectacular 4:10 start. And it's Bark at the Park. And it's presented by 1-800-PET-MEDS. Gente de Zona, presented by Heineken in concert. All you can eat seats are going on as well. Marlins.com. There's a lot going on that Saturday. Saturday spectacular against the Rockies. Here's Kevin Pillar. Takes out from Vin Mazzaro. Andre Rienzo went 4 1/3 in relief of Brad Hand, who did not make it out of the first inning.
Craig always gets real involved in the Bark at the Park.
Historically, the Marlins Bark at the Park has some of the best attendance around baseball.
From our, I'm just guessing because I don't know, but from our visits all around baseball, the Marlins Bark at the Park seems to be the best attended.
Oh, that's a great play. Down the third base line.
If you don't have a glove, use a hat.
Watch this. That's great technique. Now, if that wasn't a fitted hat, Tommy, it goes right out the back.
Right out the back. He's even learned to play this new turf.
A little slower than the old turf. That's a busted bat. Echeverria. Oh, wow. Echeverria showing off for his old ball club.
Well, one of the things you do, and he knows a lot of these guys, but you go over the reports, you know that Pillar runs pretty well, so he knew he had to pick and release quickly. Catch and release.
It's the humane way to play shortstop. Ezekiel Carrera now, who was 0 for 3. Team that the Marlins will see in a couple of weeks is starting to play a little better. The Cincinnati Reds are beating the Phillies tonight 5-3. The Reds at 24-31. Atlanta has a 3-1 lead in the 7th over San Diego. That Phillies Reds game is in the 7th. Again, 5-3 Reds.
Seems like we're saying that way too often. Teams that the Marlins are starting to play, the Blue Jays, just starting to put it together and play better. Remember Pittsburgh?
The Yankees, who have won 6 in a row.
The Yankees are starting to play well. You just mentioned Cincinnati.
Rockies were on a nice run. That's the center, and it's deep. Back goes Ozuna. Not going to get it. Over his head, top of the wall. Run will score. Herrera stops with a double. Ezekiel Carrera has been a nice spark with his bat. It's his first hit of the night, an average of over 300.
Out over the plate, he doesn't try to pull it. If he does, probably a ground ball. Hit that ball well.
Munenori Kawasaki. Couple doubles in this inning. And the first run that Mazzaro has allowed. To me, my favorite part of this ballpark is the hotel, because you can look up there and see fans standing in their rooms watching, some lounge about,
and that's good when they're up there just standing.
Of course, when they first opened it, people had to grow accustomed to making sure they were decent in their hotel room while the game was going. That was a learning curve. It's a process. Kawasaki walks. Chuck Hernandez on his way out. Chevron brings you tomorrow's starters. They're two good ones. Two Major League veterans who know how to pitch. Dan Herron and Mark Burley put away the radar guns because Herron will top 88. Burley won't quite get there. But they're so good at keeping you off balance. You see Burley at 7-4 with a 4.35 ERA.
Hey, Burley coming off a complete game shutout against the Nationals his last time out.
Jose Reyes, a 1-for-4 night.
Yeah, radar guns will be checked at the door tomorrow night.
Count is 1-0. The Rockies have a 5-0 lead over St. Louis. Miami obviously just coming from Denver, having taken 2 of 3 from the Rockies, and they'll see the Rockies starting Thursday night in that 4-game series. Troy Tulowitzki, a 3-run homer off of John Lackey in the first inning.
And no rain delay.
Not yet.
Well, I'm looking now. It's 5-0 already, Rockies.
That's now in the 3rd inning in Denver.
Jose Reyes' year as a Marlin was a very good year. 287. Played in 160 games, 37 doubles, 12 triples. He's been one of those switch hitters over the years. It's always been pretty consistent both ways. A little off this year, but overall.
Yeah, he was the one guy that didn't profile well against lefties, and of course he promptly singled off a Brad Hand, and that kind of nudged the door open a little bit. And the Blue Jays barreled through with 6 first-inning runs. There's Josh Donaldson. And Jennings watching. Donaldson's home run hit the facing of the second deck in straightaway center. Kind of a similar spot to Arizona out in center. With standing room and some table seats out there as well. .415 average in his career, but only 1 grand slam. Donaldson, the Auburn Tiger. And a mighty rip, and he fouls it back.
You saw the Marlins bullpen active. Kendry Flores getting ready.
You know, the names that went from Toronto to Oakland for Donaldson, Brett Lawrie, the most well-known, but the guys that the A's really coveted, Kendall Graveman, a right-handed pitcher, a young shortstop, Franklin Barreto, left-handed pitcher Sean Nolan. That one a scorcher into left center field. It's going to chase home at least a couple. Ozuna will hold Donaldson to a single, but he drives in two, and the Blue Jays up the ante, 11-3.
But 43 RBIs now for Josh Donaldson. He's just a couple behind Mark Teixeira of the Yankees. 16 home runs. He's in the top 3 in that category. So he's putting together a solid year.
He's having another all-star season is what he's having. He was an all-star last year. Dan Jennings arrives, wants the baseball. A West Kendall Toyota call to the bullpen. To pour it on. 11-3 now. 11 hits. Josh Donaldson has a solo homer and a 2-run single. There are hits and RBIs and carnage up and down the Blue Jays order. And so Kendry Flores comes in, made his major league debut on Saturday, and he gets to face Joey Bats, Jose Bautista. 2 homers yesterday. Bautista's 1 for 3 with a walk.
Well, it was a nice debut for Kendry Flores the other day. 2 1/3 innings.
Ouch. Fastball got him in the elbow guard.
Now that's when you have to realize, okay, it's a young pitcher making his second major league appearance, and I think Bautista realizes that.
So Bautista takes his base.
There are the numbers. Fastball just gets away, caught that elbow guard. You can hear it.
Chris Colabello, RBI single on a 1 for 4 night. Flores gets a strike. Colabello fouls it back, and it's 0-2. We were taking a look at the draft, and we noted that there were 3 shortstops taken at the outset. This is the 51st season that Major League Baseball has had a draft, and it's the first time ever that shortstops have been taken in the first 3 spots. That one is yanked foul. Dansby Swanson is the first overall pick, and he is a shortstop out of Vanderbilt. The last time a shortstop was taken with the first overall pick was 1974. Can you name that shortstop, Tommy Hutt?
74. Bill Allman.
You got it.
How about that?
Brown University.
We got no notes up here, do we?
Well, I'm looking at it on the iPad, but I didn't tell you.
You did not?
No, so
I just remember that for some reason.
That's a good job by you.
Padres, right?
Yes.
Picked Allman. He was an Ivy League guy.
Brown University.
There's way too much information there.
Again, the Marlins took a left-handed slugger from up here, Mississauga, Ontario, and that left-handed hitting first baseman Josh Naylor.
I'm with you. It'd be nice if he's in town, if Josh is in town, and we could get him on the air tomorrow night.
Well, it would be also fun to pick the brain of Giancarlo Stanton, who got to watch him in that junior home run contest. Those hitters, the high school guys, they were kind of the in-game entertainment. You know, the comedian that comes on before the Tonight Show and gets the crowd riled up?
Yeah.
That's what these hitters were during the home run hitting contest at the All-Star game last year. During the commercial breaks, that's when they came out and got their swings. Ball in the dirt, and Real Muto gets a piece of it.
We gotta have a couple of young, up-and-coming broadcasters do that for us. Come on a few minutes before the game, get the crowd all riled up.
It sounds good, but you know what? I don't know that any broadcaster would agree to that because they're all afraid they're going to lose their job.
Yeah, we'd all get Wally pipped.
To Chris Columbello. That's what happened to Jim Brockmeyer as well. Nice job by Real Muto to smother it. Henry Flores puts out the fire in the 7th. Keep the rally going in the bottom of the 9th. Jose Reyes is the runner at second base. And the Bautista pop-up, watch this on Rand Eye Vision Cam. Now Reyes, it was not interference or obstruction. Reyes has a right to stand on the base.
Yeah, that's his bag. And it actually looked like Altuve, the second baseman, might have had a better shot, and then Colabello got the game-winning base hit. I believe that hit kept his hitting streak alive, too.
Reyes had good rebounding position as well. Boxed out.
Boxed him out.
D. Gordon's up. Steve Delabar is in. Delabar throws a fastball. 93 miles an hour.
It's one of those plays, to be honest, I don't know if I've ever seen that before. I saw it a few times today on highlights.
Delabar's numbers.
Guy who a couple of years ago was an all-star in 2013.
Live fastball at 94, put it right in the glove. And D. Gordon strikes out. 0 for 4 is Gordon tonight. Now you got Martin Prado. And then Giancarlo Stanton.
How about some of the pitching exploits of the Rays' Chris Archer? Man, he had another great game. He's had 3 consecutive games. And if you remember, he had a terrific game against the Marlins, where he's gone 8 innings, and 7 innings, had 12 strikeouts, 15 and 11 with no walks.
And I think he should get as much consideration to start the All-Star game as King Felix. Taking nothing away from King Felix.
83 innings, 108 strikeouts for Archer.
Delabar misses down low. Delabar, a substitute teacher in Kentucky prior to signing with the Seattle Mariners in 2011. He was originally picked way back in 2003. Never got to the big leagues. Kind of hung it up for 2 years, 09, 2010. Picked it up and got to the big leagues in that 2011 season. Across the diamond, Valencia with a throw. 2 outs. Here comes Stanton. Here comes the Toyota Trend. Most home runs on the road. Stanton now with 11. We just saw Nolan Arenado surprisingly doing better on the road with his home runs than at Coors Field. 2-run homer and a double. And Delabar bends one and misses it away.
Giancarlo now with 173 career home runs.
Fastball up, and it's 2-0. Stan fouls that one straight back.
Go back to just 2011. And the guys with the most home runs from 2011 on, Miguel Cabrera's first, Giancarlo, and then you have Bautista and Encarnacion.
3 of the 4 here.
Yeah.
Although Encarnacion not playing tonight. Stan hits another missile to right center field. Off the wall it goes. And he's into second with his second double. Better swings tonight, Tommy Hutton.
I was just about to say, how great is it to see him hit the ball the way he has tonight. First of all, the double in the 6th inning, he pulled. But the home run, that he stayed back on. We've seen him pull off this pitch and not hit it well. He stayed back on it, drove it into right center. His home run was into right center. Love the swings from Big G tonight.
2 doubles and a 2-run homer on a 3 for 4 night. Now has 9 doubles on the season to go with 19 homers. And with 2 outs, Delabar takes aim at Justin Bour. An 0 for 3 for Bour. He struck out twice. Marco Estrada force-fed him, as you put it, a steady diet of changeups.
I think we saw that if you go back to the Cubs series. with Justin Bour. He was probably trying to do a little bit too much. Got a good pitch there, but fouled it back.
Justin Bour, right center field. It's deep. Pilar back at the wall, and he makes the catch.
Not quite enough.
Right in the corner in right center field. Bour gave it a ride. Pilar didn't have to climb the wall like he's done a few times this year. And Miami's done in the 8th. Toronto and Rogers Center, MLB.TV Premium, even north of the border, is the #1 live streaming sports service. It's celebrating 13 years. Back to our original drop-in, slow motion baseball. Visit MLB.com for details. Now remember, a couple innings ago I talked about the bug delay they had here. Russell Martin, just before that pitch, was swiping at one. Of course, that came with the roof open on a warm summer night here in Toronto, which is an incredible city. If you've never been here, this is a place you've got to come and hang out for 4 or 5 days. Little tapper, Prado whips it on to first. Unfortunately,
yeah, you're right. Beautiful city to visit.
Unfortunately, the Marlins are only here for a little over 2 days.
Yeah, quick, early morning arrival this morning, and then the 2 night games, and it was a 12:37 game, not on TV Wednesday,
and then Thursday night back home against the Rockies. Kendry Flores working here in the 8th. Martin bouncing out. Danny Valencia has had some great swings. He's doubled twice, and both of them were crushed. 2-run double in the first, doubled and scored in the 7th. So it's a good night in South Florida for Danny Valencia fans.
Yeah, down on Atlantic Avenue, Delray Beach.
Mark Burley and Dan Herron. 6:30 start, Marlins Live, a draft review, so to speak. Draft will still be going on, but the early first rounds.
We'll talk about it tomorrow night. But, guys like Burley and Herron, we talked about how in this game you're constantly adjusting. Now, does Burley throw, his stuff isn't as hard as maybe he threw 8 or 10 years ago. And he's adjusted, I'm sure, to hitters he's faced a lot. And by the way, Ichiro has a big track record against Mark Burley. So, yeah, there are adjustments.
Adam Conley in Miami's pen. Flores left it up, and Valencia hits it to center. Ozuna's there, and he makes the catch.
Ichiro against Mark Burley has come to the plate 63 times. He's 27 for 63, a 429 average. So those two veterans are going to be going at it tomorrow night.
As Dan Jennings said before the series started, he will have Ichiro in the starting lineup on all 3 nights, whether he's in the outfield or DHing. Here's Pilar. Takes a breaking ball up. And tomorrow night will be emails and tweets as well. End of the bat. And it lands in front of Yelich.
See how that ball bounced? Talking to Perry Hill. And even though this new turf is thicker and it rolls a little slower, there's still some bounce to it. So on a ball like that, once you realize you can't get there to make the catch, you have to pull up for fear of it bouncing over your head. And Yelich was able to handle that, and his buddy Pilar got the base hit.
Field turf, blades of artificial grass, anchored by the ground up rubber, some of it from tires and tennis shoes.
They had that underneath the surface at the Trop.
Trop was the first baseball facility that had artificial surface to get field turf.
I remember Craig's took some of his old tennis shoes, sneakers over there, broke them down.
Striking at 0-2. Blue Jays pen is up. Conley working in Miami's pen. My guess is that for Conley, it's his throw day.
It is. He threw Friday.
And so he's not coming in the game, but he's just getting his between starts work. 11-3. Blue Jays on top. To the 9th we go. By Kaiser University. For more information, go to kaiser.edu. And by Florida Coast Equipment, Florida's largest Kubota dealer. Visit us at floridacoasteq.com. In Toronto, the Blue Jays blew the doors off this one early. You can see 6 runs in the first, a 7-0 lead, and it cruised to an 11-3 lead into the 9th. Ryan Goins, guy with a lot of range and a good glove. will take over for Jose Reyes.
Decided to bring in a couple of Ryans. Ryan Tepera comes in to work this 9th inning.
As long as it's not Nolan. Tepera in his 7th appearance. Marcell Ozuna, a 2-hit night. The hitting heroes for Miami, Giancarlo Stanton, 2 doubles and a homer. Tepera throws a strike.
Guy who 3 years ago pitched for Mike Redmond in Dunedin in Florida State League.
There's a few players on this team that played for Red. Lansing Lugnuts as well. Kevin Pillar is one of those. So the Marlins get Mark Burley. And the Blue Jays get Dan Herron. That's tomorrow night. Breaking ball. Ozuna chased it. T-Mobile game changer. Matt Latos still in progress. 4 2/3 innings, 4 walks, 1 run, 4 strikeouts. Yelich fouls one off.
Yeah, I think one of the things there are the numbers on Latos, and I think it'll be good for him to extend and get as many pitches as he can. Inflammation in that knee, been on the disabled list. And we started to see Matt Latos with flashes throw the ball the way the organization expected him to. The other thing about the Blue Jays pitchers tonight, get a big lead, which they've had. They had that since the 1st inning. They have not walked anybody. So their pitchers have gone out there and thrown strikes. The Marlins, on the other hand, have walked 7 in this game.
Real Muto single back in the 7th.
Boy, just a couple of days ago, Marlins gave up 10 runs to the Rockies, losing 10-5. But came back and won that game yesterday.
Well, here's the weird thing about the Blue Jays. One of the more popular stats is run differential when talking about teams and projecting where they're going to go. The Blue Jays have the best run differential in the American League, and even if they win this ballgame, they'll still have a losing record. They came in at plus 45, and that's obviously going to grow. Looks like by 8 more runs, so they'll be plus 53 and still be under 500. Ouch. Did it hit the bat? Did it hit the hand? Must have hit the knob of the bat. Remember, Real Muto does choke up.
I might have got the knob down just below that left hand.
Yeah. It's a good thing he did choke up. Now the 1-2. Tepera buries that breaking ball. Chance for the Blue Jays to draw to 29-30. This would be 6 in a row for Toronto. Not nearly as much drama as yesterday's walk-off against Houston. In the air, long run. Bautista.
That Toronto, the only team in the AL East playing tonight. As they say, a light schedule in baseball.
Look at the comet trail of rubber pellets that follows Bautista on this slide. But you know what? It's a lot easier on your body than running around on the old carpet that was here, or in Montreal, or remember in St. Louis and Cincinnati and a lot of major league ballparks. Colabello with a leaping catch robs Real Muto. And the Toronto Blue Jays stay hot. They've won 6 in a row, and they do it with muscle. They knock Brad Hand out of the first inning, put 6 on the board, a 7-0 lead, and never looked back. For the Marlins, the bright spot, certainly Giancarlo Stanton. H. Gregg, high def highlights. This is the 4th inning. 2-run shot off of Marco Estrada in the 6th. That's extra bases, a double. And in the 8th, another drive in the gap.